are back here in the van, ready to hop back into the next portion of the build. I'm gonna start putting in the structure, the framing, the furring strips around for anchor points for all the walls, cabinetry, upper cabinets, all the things that are gonna be attached to the actual body of the van. So I've been just doing so much research on this, and what I've found is there are already so many of these holes in here that most of the time I'll be utilizing the holes that are already there. So what I'm using is this tool, which is a Rivnut tool. These are the Rivnuts, or rivet nuts. It's metric. The size for these are M8. All right, so this is all they are. But basically you can put a bolt into there and through your wood. And so I'll show you what all that looks like right now. Keep in mind, I'm learning as I go. So this is not the only way to do it, but the ones up here are actually a little bit smaller. So I've already extended this hole out so it fits in there. And then you use that tool I showed you. It basically fastens it to this. So I'm using a step bit in order to expand these holes to fit the size Rivnut that I'm using. And so that way it can fit into there. All right guys, we are back. It is a new day. A few days later actually, because of course, when I was showing you the last Rivnut that I was putting in, problems happened. Not good. Not good. We'll just leave it at that. But basically it like stripped out and the tool was no longer usable. I could not get the Rivnut off the tool. Ended up returning it. I actually had the next one ordered anyway because I needed the new size. We're starting fresh now. Got the new tool here. I got it all set up for the 1024 size. You wanna make sure this is open all the way. Attach the Rivnut, screw it on all the way. Place it into the mounting point. Try to keep it flush. And then give it a good tighten, but not too tight. And then unscrew using the tool. And that's all it should be. Now you got a nice bolt mounting point. Once we get our boards cut to length, I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. The key here is that we want to know exactly where these holes are in order to bolt this to the wall. And it's probably my favorite part of this whole process of the framing is we're going to use some Play-Doh. I highly recommend this system because it's awesome. You get to smell and play with Play-Doh while you're building your van. So I mean, that's just an added bonus. You want to find like the general area of where the Play-Doh needs to go, or where the hole is going to be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this Play-Doh kind of right in that spot all around. And then you're going to do that on the rest. Okay, so I have to put you down. I'm going to flatten it out. Then once we have the Play-Doh in the spots, you go ahead, and so once you're happy with that level, go ahead and press the board in. Press it in to make the impressions. Pull it out, and there you see, I got pretty close on this one. You can see pretty clearly that we got our holes. Make sure you got your drill going the right way. This is the bolt we're using, this hex bolt. And so we don't want this head sticking out. And so in order to countersink this head into the wood, I have a spade bit. I'm using a 3/4 spade bit. So you want to make sure this is flush as well. That's pretty much close right there. But also you want to have enough room for your socket wrench fit in there to tighten it in. Now we attach it to the wall. Hooray. Sammy. Alright guys, we have some progress going on here. Most of the horizontal beams are mounted. So I'm just figuring out what the vertical ones are going to look like. The only ones I have left are all of these little short ones, which I need the smaller Rivnut, and I'm currently waiting on Amazon. I got all the floor ones done. I've cut 3 vertical beams that are going to go along here. There will be upper cabinets all the way along here, so I have to keep that in mind. Figure out how I'm going to finish off that corner up there, since there won't be upper cabinets to hide that corner. I got to bear that in mind as well. So these are all the things I have to think about. Alright guys, we have the first vertical furring strip in, and I ended up buying one of these guys, these countersink bits, which work well so that these screws that I have sit flush or past the wood so that the wall can sit flat along that. And that is how I'm going to be attaching all of the vertical furring strips, and these are the screws that I'm using. You chilling? How you feeling, buddy? Feels very sturdy, not going anywhere, thanks to these Rivnuts. Alright guys, it's the next day. The paint dried in each of the holes I drilled, so I protected them from rust by spraying each hole with some primer, and then I went ahead and put all the Rivnuts in up here, quite a few of them. But that's gonna hold all of the furring strips up here since those holes did not exist. Got one done, and it actually went really quick. And for these on this side, I'm actually using this thicker wood. I believe it's a 2x3 instead of the 1x3. And the reason I'm doing that is because on this wall, there will not be upper cabinets. And I want the ceiling panels, or whatever I do with the ceiling, to float down past these ribs, and I don't want to worry about cutting around that. So this allows me to get past those ribs, and so that is why I use thicker wood for that side. Back in the van, it's another beautiful day. We're getting into the final stretch of this long, drawn out part of the build. I have all the vertical beams measured out, ready to go. I've already attached these 2. I'm gonna put 2 more going over here. And so basically I had to figure out how far apart I wanted them, where I wanted them to be attached, and how I want to attach them. Right up in here, I'm using self-tapping or self-drilling screws that go into the metal. These. And so I'm drilling a pilot hole through the wood. I just pre-drill, and that just kind of gives it that final secure, because of how I did these. I didn't want to attach them and have this come out any further. I wanted it to be more straight up and down like this. So that ain't going anywhere. It's in, it's good. And then we'll get to the ceiling later. Walls first, ceiling later. Alright guys, so got the framing pretty much done on the walls. I would say it's pretty good. I'm gonna go over and double check everything. I still have the ceiling to do, but I'm gonna hold off on that until I get a little further along. Starting to really come together and look like more and more of a livable space. That's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much for sticking along throughout this crazy process of framing out the van. It was a huge challenge, but like I said, I'm really happy with how it's coming out. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.